Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 18. Tom Taylor writing with Cian Tormey and Rory Coleman on the art. So yeah, this I completely forgot was going to be the last issue of this.
Yeah.
And honestly, didn't even realize it was until I checked when I was getting the info together for the names and stuff.
Yeah, because now it's reverting back to Superman, right? From Superman, Son of Kal-El.
Well, it depends if you count this as like.
Right.
Look, I would just see this as a different book, and then we're getting Superman back.
Okay.
If that makes sense. If anything, I'd say this is turning into the miniseries that we're getting.
Yeah,
as a direct follow up to this.
That's a better perspective.
Yeah. So yeah, Superman and John are rebuilding the Kent house with the Justice League, which I feel like I've seen before, like numerous times at this point.
Yeah, but I love that just how wholesome it feels. And then you got like, is it Hal helping stabilize the beams, and the Flashes helping out. I just like the sense of community here.
So going from there, they're looking into this Red Sin stuff and who this guy is, this Lewis, and his parents work for LexCorp, and he basically continued their work, perfected it, and is like a zealot. He hates John. He thinks that John and Clark are aliens and that they're a threat to the world, and he believes he's helping. So he actually attacks Jimmy to get his Superman watch so that he can call Superman somewhere so he can attack John, which sure enough is what the main bit of the issue is Clark flies off to deal with that. John tries to deal with the bomb that's at Daily Planet, which isn't a real bomb. It's established later on that
diversion.
He has no interest in actually. Well, no, the watch is the diversion.
I thought Jimmy still had. I thought, but that was the diversion. Wasn't that to keep them busy, right? To keep them separated.
I mean, it's deceptive.
That's how I read it.
No, it is, but it's like the diversion is to get rid of Superman, so that's the watch. Like,
right.
The main thing is still where John is. Like, that's the trap, the bait.
Right, but it's John. Clark goes to look for Jimmy, right?
Which is the diversion.
Right, but he still had the watch. That's how he got them into the forest there at the end. So that the diversion was the. How I took it is that Red Sin was going to kill Superman.
Wait, what are you talking about? That's how he got him into the forest.
That's at the end, right? Unless I missed something.
What are you talking about?
let me pull it up. So what I remember reading was that he goes and attacks Jimmy. He gets a signal watch, right? And then there's a bomb called in at the Daily Planet. John stays there. Superman goes to find Jimmy. And then that's where John realizes that this is taking too long. Dad should have got to him quicker. So that's where he goes to look for his dad.
Yes.
Right? Right. So that's why I said the bomb was the diversion to split them up.
No, it's not. The watch is the diversion to split them up. They're both going to the bomb in the first place. The bomb is the bait.
No, because part of the plan is that
Matt.
No, the watch is the bait, because that's what draws them into Red Sin.
The watch is not what draws them into Red Sin. The watch is what draws Superman away.
I'm looking.
It doesn't lure him to a forest. He Jesus Christ.
It says the watch is stopped, and then that's when he falls through, and that's where Red Sin is. So I assume that Red Sin had the signal watch, because that's why it was going off for 45 seconds.
This is such a stupid debate. It doesn't matter. Yeah. The point. The point is
Although I just want to point out that Rojas is Spanish for red, so Luis Rojas is Luis Red.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah. Either way, I got it. Go. He finds a bomb, and that's So, anyways, I thought Torby's art here, like when John falls into the forest, and just the way that the light hits, and the blues and the greens, everything has like the sinister feel to it, and I think that it looks really nice. And then the glow of the red around Superman and Red Sin, I thought looked pretty cool. That's really where the art I feel is working its best here. So also Jimmy, don't fall for free pizza, my guy. Like you live in a world where people are actively, trying, like, they know you're Superman's best friend. So good.
Yeah. What they don't get into is what actually happened to Superman
Mm-hmm.
when he went off to like find the watch. Like,
Right.
which is why I'm not entirely sure why you think the watch is in the forest luring John there. I'm assuming that he still went to where the watch is, which is with Jimmy, where he's passed out on the floor.
Right. So hold on. So I was under the impression that he took. So how did Superman?
Matt, we're all aware what you were under the impression of. You've said it.
So then, how did? So how did Rojas find Superman then?
Hold on, be specific.
So when
Which Superman?
Okay, when John falls into the forest, he comes up and says, "Lewis, stop," and isn't Superman's there with him? Correct. Because he goes, John, and he pulls away. So why, if Superman wasn't looking for the signal watch, how would Superman be there?
No one said he wasn't looking for the signal watch. Of course he was looking for the signal watch.
Right. So if he's looking for the signal watch, how does he just randomly come across Red Sin? Does he just fall like John did? Because I didn't take it as that.
What do you mean? Red Sin's with the signal watch. This is not confusing.
Right. Right. So again, the signal watch is the bait, and the bomb is the diversion.
No.
Yes.
The watch is the diversion because it's the whole point is to separate them and lure Superman somewhere to try and help Jimmy. He's clearly John just falls where he falls because he's tracking the watch afterwards and doesn't understand why it's not stopped yet. Right? The fact that he shouts stop almost implies that he just happened to get there in time to interrupt what was going on. That Lewis probably wanted to actually just kill Superman before he went after John.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So that's right. So he drew Superman to him with the signal watch.
Yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that's why Superman was there in that forest, was to draw him there. He was going to kill him. John shows up, prevents that from happening. So again, the watch was the bait. That's what drew Superman to him. Because if the bomb was the bait, then that's where Red Sin would be.
If you're talking about it from Superman's perspective, but this is John's book. I'm talking about it from John's perspective.
Right, but it's still. But Red Sin's plan still is to kill both of them.
No, I know.
Right. So either way, Red Sin had the signal watch.
Yes, no one was disputing that. No one was ever disputing that.
That's what I thought you were saying, that he didn't have it, and that's where I got very confused.
No, of course he had it.
End up in the forest.
That's why he knocked out Jimmy. What the hell was he doing to Jimmy? He didn't knock out Jimmy with gas pizza because he just wanted to say hello.
Gas pizza, also known as Pizza Hut. At least if you're me. Hooey. Anyways, let's just keep going because John gets shot. Got a little bit worried here. And we got this really cool aspect though, because finally John going into the future has paid off a little bit, because we really haven't talked about his time with the Legion. I mean that's fine. Outside of him knowing that his dad was gone during the War World stuff, right? And he was worried about that. But we see that Brainy made him like a break in case of emergency device, which I do like that that Tom Taylor hints at a little bit in the beginning with Clark, where he goes, in case anything goes wrong, break the glass. And I thought that was just like a saying between them. Like, don't be afraid to call in reinforcements. Because we've had that discussion with John and Clark, is John's very headstrong and thinks he can take this on all by himself. So that's what I thought he was. Like, this is going to be his, moment to call in Nightwing and the crew, right? And Jay and all of these other people that we've seen over the course of the book. Um, but instead, it's this belt that has, I guess, solar fire in it, right? That Brainiac 5 made him in the future. And he breaks it and it recharges him. And it's a really cool scene.
Yeah, the other detail here is that he gets shot multiple times whilst he's weak. And that ties in later afterwards. Superman says, "Are you wearing the vest?" It turns out Nightwing's advice at the start of the book, which we didn't get to hear, was that he should be wearing protection, even if, in theory, it's useless. But turns out it saved his life, because otherwise he'd have been shot 3 times in the chest. So so basically he prepped for the idea that he might just be human at some point whilst fighting this guy. So they're able to freeze him, and the end of the book is John trying to talk to him, him basically just being xenophobic and saying, "No, you're not a person, you're an alien, you're a danger to everyone." Claims that Lois has been putting out, pro-alien propaganda because she's having sex with an alien, stuff like that.
It's so gross rhetoric. Like, yeah, Tom Taylor's really good at writing these kinds of irredeemable characters, right? Like, just the slimier the better coming out of Tom Taylor. So I remember characters like this popping up in his Wolverine run too, right? Just unrepentant jerks. So.
And then the final scene is Lex, via hologram, admittedly, but showing up in his cell and basically saying, he's like, "Oh, I'm proud of you, son, and your parents were doing good work, and you're going to want to help me because I'm going to take down Superman, and you made a Superman bleed today." So it ends on this cliffhanger for what they're doing next with him. And yeah, so this leads into at least part of Action 1050. And we'll see where it goes from there. Yeah, it just felt like the last issue of an arc to me rather than the last issue of a book. But I guess that's because technically it's not really the end, because the 6-issue miniseries coming up really is the end of the book.
Coming. Yeah. I do like that it kind of puts like not a capstone, but like on, like, John has learned from the first issue. There has been a character arc here about him listening to others and not just taking everything on head on. So feels like the character has grown, and we did get into a little bit when he's talking about not having the powers, and what led to Brainiac making that device for him was being stuck in that volcano, which I was kind of first when I started reading that I was kind of like, oh, this again, okay, but that's also been kind of a hallmark of this book too, is John learning to process his feelings from that year with Jor-El. So felt like that put a nice capper on it.
I mean, I like the little detail that he's just going to keep coming back and talking to Red Sun, and the hope that he'll eventually break through to him. Obviously he's not going to, because Lex is already like talking to him and start under the nefarious plans, but I do like the idea that he's going to try anyway, or that's his intention. And just
he's his father's son after all.
And just other little things like, Lois references that like his parents like were part of a group, like a subreddit or whatever, that hates Superman and hates both of them. Is like, don't read it like to them, because it'll just be hateful stuff. So it's just little details like that I appreciate in the issue.
Yeah, and after he tries to talk to him, he goes back and meets Superman or meets Clark on the roof of the Kent home, and they're just talking, and he tells his dad thanks for what? He goes, for raising me to hate, right? For not raising me to hate people I don't know. And like, even though he has like, this guy is just hates him for everything he is, but John has a perspective where he's like, he doesn't want to hurt anyone. And Clark's like, yeah, he shot you yesterday. He's like, yeah, but you know what I mean? He thinks he's protecting the world. He was just coming after me. So and that's where he decides that he's going to try to keep talking to him. Like maybe I can find something in there. And I think that's very admirable on John's part. And it goes with what we've seen throughout this series too, right? Like him trying to talk to people, not just go in. So, but yeah, no, Tom Taylor writing Superman has been a lot of fun.
It's been good. It's not been great. And I say that because comparing it to Taylor's other work at DC, it's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum. It's no Nightwing. It's I don't even think it's as good as the Suicide Squad run. And that's not a big deal. It's even the lowest of
good.
The lowest of his work at DC is still pretty strong. But it is on the lower end of the spectrum. So it's but that said though, there's no point in getting that reflective right now because it's not really the end. There's another 6 issues. It just happens to be on a different title. So we'll see how that goes. Art in the book is obviously pretty much what it's been like by and large, which is again good, not great. There's some of the faces and things that just aren't necessarily to my taste. I don't really have anything to add to it because it's been the same thing I've been saying every issue for the last.
This one though is a little bit more, felt a little kind of more rushed towards the end there, like that scene I was just talking about with Clark and John on the roof. There is a
second artist on this issue, so maybe it was actually under the gun a little bit.
It felt like Tormy, but not really. It was like someone trying to copy Tormy. So, maybe the secondary artist, was just trying to blend it better. But yeah, some of the faces on John and Clark are a little bit rough. But it's still, the wider shots tend to flow better. But yeah.
Yeah, so that'll wrap that up pretty much. So what are you rating Superman?
I'm going to give this a 7.5.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. 7.5 seems about right for me.
Yeah.